This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Andrew Griffiths. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a little bit more rainy and horrible here, but it's can't complain.
Sounds great. So, what part exactly of the world are you in right now?
Just to the north of London, in Hertfordshire, in the UK.
All right. Well, do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history.
So I would probably say LinkedIn Local is really what's brought us together, since you reached out to me through the LinkedIn Local Slack. So yeah, basically LinkedIn Local and forming communities around getting professional people connected in a much more personal way. That would probably be the skill set that's most relevant.
Love it. Now, amazing audience, Slack is an app that you can use to connect and communicate with people. So when he said LinkedIn Slack, that he meant on the Slack app. For those who don't know what Slack is, right?
Yeah. Well, probably worth sharing. Anyone not working in the tech community who hasn't heard of it.
LinkedIn Slack. What's that?
Yes. It's by no means owned or run by LinkedIn.
Exactly. So hashtag LinkedIn Local. Fascinating. So tell me, what do you think, or would you say is the core quality of what you have that you execute within something like LinkedIn Local? Is it caring, community building, kindness, sharing, entrepreneurship?
All of the above. I think it's community. A lot of things that I'm involved in revolve strongly around communities of people, and particularly finding ways of bringing people together in person. And so LinkedIn Local really taps into that. The work I do with Your Town really taps into that. And the work we're now doing with Local X, that's sort of grown out of LinkedIn Local, is also very much focused on how we build communities of people that actually matter and get past job descriptions and sort of the surface level stuff, and actually, properly get to know people.
Which is fascinating, right? It's like a totally new accelerator, if you would, to see what is being created by individuals like yourself, Andrew. Who did you learn that from? That ability to, I think there's a thing like you're moving amongst people virtually, and then you're creating a scenario for them where it's physical, right? And that's just. I see it as a knight, on the shining armor and on a horse. Yeah,
that's an interesting image. Yeah. I'm not sure I can quite live up to that yet, but hey, one day I'll own a suit of armor. We'll work on it. But I think really it comes down to I've always thrived around being around people. I'm a very sociable person, definitely an extrovert, and I get energy from being around others. So I would say I can't stop forming communities wherever I go. We went to Vancouver for 6 months, me and my other half, Carla, and we were literally just in this apartment building for 6 months. But by the time we left, there was a Facebook community for the entire building with 150 people in it, and we'd started organizing monthly socials to connect everyone in the building. And it's just where we literally just started knocking on people's doors and saying hello, and you make an impact that way.
That's amazing. Why will you continue to be that person?
Because I think human beings are better when we come together and work together on things, whatever, or not necessarily work, but when we get to know one another, it just makes life better. I don't think there's much meaning in life without connecting with others.
Beautiful. Well said. Tell us about Your Town.
Your Town is a community interest company, so the community is literally in the name, and we do sort of fundamentally what we aim to achieve is connecting people with where they live. So it's about getting people to identify with and be proud of the town, village, city that they live in, And to do that, we focus on sort of the postcode or zip code, because often when people talk about towns and places that they live, it's a much smaller geographical area than, if you say LA is enormous, but there's lots of sort of zip codes within that, and when people from that zip code say LA, they really mean where they live. So we sort of focus in on that, and so do sort of lots of big running events, walking events, cycling events, stuff with schools that really sort of get people celebrating their local community and feeling a part of that local community.
Has anyone stepped in and looked at the statistical data of what you're creating and how it's created?
We've dabbled. We've looked at it. It's one of these things. Community is a really hard thing to measure, because particularly offline community and the impact of it, and it's something where a lot of it is fairly intangible. There's been studies in the US and all over the world, but there's one particular one in the US which looked at why a particular town did have a much higher life expectancy than all of the surrounding areas and the rest of the states as a whole. And they went and they looked at all the variables, and it was scientists, so they were convinced it was going to be genetic or diet based or fitness based or something tangible that they could measure. And in the end, they found that there were no genetic differences between them and the rest of the population, no differences in lifestyle, diet, fitness, and things like that. What they found was, what they ended up concluding was that there was something very intangible, that all we can say is we can't measure this. But what we can tell you is that when you're walking around in this town, people are saying hello to each other. People are sitting in their front gardens and chatting to each other over the front gate. There are more civic organizations or more sort of community groups per capita than there's sort of like 3 times as many civic groups per capita here. So there's a lot of community and a lot of connection, and they basically concluded and believed that we can't measure this and we can't prove it, but this is the only thing that we can find that to us explains why these people are so healthy and live so much longer, and that community actually has a protective effect on us, protecting us from disease, from health issues, from mental health issues, and so it actually literally extends the quality and longevity of your life. So it's something which is really hard to measure, but there's more and more evidence as to the power of it, and the fact that you can eat the best food, you can be as fit as a fiddle, but if you don't have people around you that make you feel a part of a cared for community of people, you can still have just as many problems as someone who doesn't eat well and isn't fit.
Love it. Yeah, the power of a conversation. It's what.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
I'd probably say networking has been one of the main things I sort of, particularly with young people. I would share that networking is something I've been doing consistently over the past few years through the Institute of Directors. I go to lots of networking events. I was at 2 networking events last night, one with Alexandra Galvez. I was hosting an event with a company called Impraise, and then another which was sort of IoD based, looking at special interest groups within different sectors. So I'd say networking is something I've been doing very consistently.
How does it make you feel to see the networking you've been doing and the fruit that has been born from it?
I think it comes from, I feel good about it. The opportunity comes through people and networks and connections. You don't have to ask that many people to realize that there are a huge number of opportunities, if probably the vast majority of opportunities that people have got in their lives have come through someone they know, someone they've spoken to. And so that's the value it brings, and the people that I've met through doing this, finding like-minded people who are passionate about what they do. It can't be underestimated, and I would encourage everyone, but particularly young people who often don't understand why they should be out connecting with other people in different sectors and things like that. the value of a genuine network of people that you actually try and connect with, not just adding tons of connections on LinkedIn. Anyone can do that. That's just statistics. You click connect enough times, you'll have a massive network. That's not meaningful. Yeah, if you connect with people properly and make friendships within that network, you will give other people opportunities, and other people will give you opportunities, and the fruits of collaboration with people. We wouldn't be having this conversation if I didn't do it.
Exactly. It's like what Zig says. Yeah, Zig Ziglar said, "Help enough other people get what they want, and you will get what you want."
Yeah,
it's just amazing. Well, amazing audience. Again, you're hearing it live from Andrew Griffiths. You can connect with him on LinkedIn, of course, and of course you can go to yourtongue.community as well. Andrew, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. And what's your earliest?
Your voice is fantastic. It's so soothing. That was poetic.
Andrew, what's your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is actually quite a young one. I was probably a little under 2 years old, and I slipped and fell when I was getting out of the bath and knocked one of my front teeth out.
Wow. Ouchie. How old did you say you were? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was just under 2 years old.
Okay.
Right. So just under 2.
Why do you think
pain, I think I suspect is the main reason. So I have a very vivid memory of falling over and knocking my tooth out. And then it sort of goes blank. And then I remember also vividly, also because of pain, my parents had taken advice from some friends, and with baby teeth, with milk teeth, you can put them back in if you do so straight away. And the idea is you dip them in a little bit of milk. Don't know whether that helps or not, but you dip it in a little bit of milk and you just put it back in, and in theory it's fine. But the trouble is, by the time that they'd gotten that advice, it was a few hours on, and so I have my first memory of my parents is one of them holding my head and the other one trying to shove a tooth into my skull, and it not going very well. So I mean, I love my parents, but yes, it's not necessarily the best of first memories of them. That's quite a vivid one.
Oh my, it is. Wow, yeah, almost traumatic, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can look back and laugh now.
All right, so if we dive into the concept of timing and, of course, things being where they do not belong, how do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
I think it's sort of the trouble with that one. I think it's a little bit of a unique one where it doesn't really plug into my life necessarily. I don't know if I've got any sort of fear of losing teeth or something. Who knows? Maybe if one of my teeth starts getting wobbly, I'll panic. But I don't know that it taps in too much.
But let me take a go at it then. Can I offer an interpretation? Yeah, to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory. So I love the fact that, all right, so what we're seeing is the community. And of course, the community didn't have the tech that we have now. So it's not like you could have done a post, right? And said, hey, Andrew, my dear Andrew has lost a tooth, right? But you've seen in your memory the power again of community, the power of people that care, to offer information that is available when necessary, and to see the live, active aspect of that, despite the trauma of it coming through late, right? But the value.
That's a very positive. That's a very positive spin on it there. That's I like that. Let's run with that.
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Let's just move away from the trauma and into the positive.
Yeah. Please, because you're doing it now. Yeah, you're creating spaces for individuals, possibly not to have such traumatic experiences, but
yes, my goal in life is now to make sure that no child has their tooth knocked out and isn't instantly put back in.
So my question
is available.
Is that like real though? Is it really possible though that to put it back in?
Apparently, okay. I mean. I think I did research it later, and I think that is something that you can do, but I think it has to be pretty instantaneous.
Oh, okay.
You dip in a little bit of milk and you shove it back in, and apparently the gum, as long as the gum hasn't started to heal, it will sort of latch onto it again.
That's intriguing. Yeah, I'm going to check it out though. All right.
Yeah, definitely do your research. Don't just take my word for it. I mean, it didn't work with me. I ended up with missing a front tooth for years.
If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
So my favourite song was from at that time. Well, I mean, I'll say it. Even now, I love that music. Is from a band that my father was in, called the Woebegone Brothers, with his brothers. So him and his two brothers were in a band called the Woebegone Brothers, and I think when I listed Satisfied as one of them. But basically, we used to have sort of a couple of cassette tapes from the albums that they'd done together, and we'd listen to those cassettes very regularly. In the car, and so that probably satisfied the Woebegone Brothers.
There we go. All right, well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Andrew?
I'm ready.
Andrew, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
So for me, it's not a specific person. I would say that one of the things aside from community, and it's sort of linked to a community in a sense, one of the things I'm most passionate about is enabling young people and young leaders in particular. And so I work in a number of initiatives in my spare time, one of which with Alex Galvez called LinkedIn Local Youth, which we do in London, and another through the Young Directors Forum. I run something called the Junior Committee, where a lot of it is about giving tangible skills, experiences to younger leaders. So people who are still at university, people who are still in A-levels and school and everything. Because I firmly believe that in order for our planet to get out of many of the messes that we have created, young people need to rise up the chain of command as fast as humanly possible, because we're the ones who are ultimately going to have to fix this. And the current political and economical leadership aren't doing a great job at fixing many of the problems that they've caused. So I'm very passionate about enabling young leaders, basically.
Yeah, I heard the passion there. I'll keep doing what you're doing, my friend. Just putting that in there, because you are inspiring the world, and keep doing it. I know it is challenging at times, but again, with community, it really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are you married?
I'm not married. I live with my other half, Carla, with boyfriend and girlfriend at the moment.
Okay.
And we'll see where that leads.
Any children? Any children?
Not at the moment, no.
All right. Do you believe in God?
That's a very challenging question. Yes, but probably not in the way that many people will interpret that. Yes.
All right. Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I have friends sort of spread all over the place. So I wouldn't say I have an inner circle of friends. Because of the amount that I connect with other people and the amount that I've traveled to various places, I have lots of pockets of friends all over the world, and try and keep in touch with as many people as possible, which can always be a bit of a challenge.
Tell me about TV. Do you look at TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Usually not. TV is something of a weakness for me, so I do my best not to get stuck into new series. It can be very addictive.
Yes, it can.
So I tend to try and stick to things that I know. My sort of rule with TV and also gaming was something I used to be very into in my teenage years, and I've moved away from that as well. My rule now is I can only watch TV or game if I'm with someone else in the room. So in that way, it's got to be about connecting with other people and having conversations about what we're watching or playing or whatever. It can't just be me sitting in a room vegging my life away.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably more than 8, because a lot of my work involves laptop and screens and things. I'm pretty good at not getting too sucked into social media and things through my phone. I put things in place, like all of my social media apps are in folders that don't notify me when things happen. So I can go and look when I want to look, but I'm not having it constantly buzzing, shouting at me to say, look at me, look at me, look at me. So yeah, I would say I probably spend a huge amount of time on screens, but that's basically because a lot of my work involves screens and platforms and technology.
If you had to share with us, Andrew, your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Andrew Griffiths, what would you say that is?
I didn't think of that one, Alan. Connect with people. Leave it at that. Connect with people.
Love it. Andrew, this has been such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, but feel free to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn. Always keen to connect with people who are interested in sort of forming meaningful connections with other people around the world. I think we need to form a strong global community and start fixing some of the problems that humanity is causing itself.
Yeah. Again, Andrew, this was such a great pleasure. Thanks for passing by. Andrew Thomas Griffiths, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazon Enterprise.